All right, Rosemary. So how this works is anybody and everybody can come on and ask me a personal question, and I will help one-on-one answer their question. And that's actually kind of how questions get backed up, is because sometimes I spend 1 or 2, 3 minutes on one person's question and try to help them on a case-by-case basis to the best of my ability. Well, Crystal, thanks for coming on. You feel free to watch me dance all you want. Usually I start slowing down when it gets a little heated up in here. And what's wild is it usually gets real heated around like 45 minutes to 50 minutes in. That's when I got like 40 people on here and I'm dropping some crazy knowledge. And I start getting into attack mode when I'm speaking. I'm like, and just hitting it all out. So. But there's no particular subject, anything on nature, spirit, or commerce, any of the videos that I've dropped. If you're interested in talking about, or if you have any issues or need help or guidance, I give lawful guidance, not legal advice. So if it comes to the commerce stuff, other than that, I'm always by the DM or email. You can always one-on-one. But this is a very unique time when I can just speak fluently. Whether or not, if you just want to call, the number on my website or not to get a more one-on-one. But that's kind of what this is. This is a poke my brain type thing, because I have brains to spare, apparently. Other than that, this is the Charles Show. Hope you enjoy. Just on here, loving Friday, living large, loving life. Yeah, some days are magic, some days are tragic, but, just got to keep with the punches and keep it pimping. Thank you for the follow, Angelina. Much appreciated. Crystal, you can laugh at me all you want. I am a nut by nature. Not naughty by nature, but nut by nature. So feel free. Anybody got some questions? I'm here. That's what this time is for. So my last video, something very interesting happened on TikTok. I ain't never seen it, and this is what I think is very interesting, because I am talking about some secret, private, esoteric knowledge. Like, I am dropping bombs on my videos. Like, I'm killing it, at least in my mind, and to what others say. So, so I dropped this video on chemtrails, and I'm like, let me just throw a nature video out instead of just doing all commercial stuff. And TikTok was like, and this is what I think's wild, because I'm sitting here, I'm talking about being sovereign in court. I'm talking about how to get over on the system, like how the system works. I'm breaking down taxes, like all this stuff. And then I post a chemtrail video, and I'm just posting facts, except for my opinion. I said, this is my opinion on one thing. And TikTok's like, yeah, so your video, we're not going to allow it to go on any For You pages, and nobody's going to be able to search for it and find it. I'm like, wow. Okay, so thanks, TikTok. Out of all of the stuff that I've talked about over the last year and a half, and I'm talking about some stuff that I'm surprised they haven't banned videos over. It's just kind of wild. So out of everything, apparently chemtrails is something that TikTok does not like, because they basically straight up told me we're not only shadow banning you, we are blatantly banning your video to be able to be found. Yeah, it is strange. But here's what I found interesting about what they're doing. They haven't removed the video, okay? So they're allowing it. It's probably going to go out to 600, 700 people or something like that. It'll be like one of my least viewed videos ever. But what I find interesting is they're allowing me to appeal it, of course. They always do that. And then what I have found is if you appeal it twice, sometimes you'll be able to get it up and running. So TikTok's allowing me to appeal it, but the appeal process takes a couple days, okay? And I'm very analytical. So what I do is I look at my videos and the traffic, and what happens is your video's traffic will basically peak. It will reach its apex at 2 days. Ooh, there's the camera. After 2 days, that is basically the height of how great your video is going to be. So the appeal process is going to take a day or two. So they might allow my video to not be banned or not be, like I said, they literally told me, they're like, this will not go on anybody's For You page and they won't be able to find it. So if they accept my appeal, it's going to take a couple days. But guess what? That's how a video works, is after 2 days, it sees its max amount of traffic. So TikTok's sly, they slick, and after 2 days, if they accept my appeal, it will show up on For You pages. But guess what? After 2 days, it goes out to barely anybody. It's always like a bell curve on every video I look at. Day 2 is the apex, and then it just kind of dies down to seeing very little people. So, but yeah, Rosemary, this is it's kind of a unique platform, and there's been times when I've thought about branching out and trying to do something somewhere else. But I've actually looked at YouTube's analytics as well, and it's just YouTube. I'll have a video that goes out to 10,000 people, and I might get 60 likes. So it's like a different type of audience out there on YouTube. And here on TikTok, on average, 10%, let's say if I have 10,000 views, I will get 1,000 likes. It is almost right at 10% somehow. It's really weird. It's like they shop it around to 10% of people that it will actually affect. And although my videos have gone out to millions, I have touched millions of lives, but that doesn't mean that they watch the video. It could be, they watch it for 20 seconds and swipe up. But that's just, I'm over analytical, and that's just kind of how it works. But at the end of the day, cheers. TikTok does not like chemtrails, and they made it real clear. They basically said some stuff like, they said something like everybody's entitled to their opinion, but we have to go by a set and agreed upon standards of community something. And I'm like, I dropped straight news articles. I dropped straight reports from people who came out. They're like, yeah, we have contracts to shoot chemtrails. Like these people are it's public data, But for whatever reason, that's one of those things, and I had no idea out of all the stuff that I've talked about that TikTok would be kind of offended on chemtrails. So that's kind of like, that's kind of one of those emojis, what's going on? Things that make you go, So what's up, everybody? It's Friday. Got any questions? Please feel free to ask. I'm here to try to help and enlighten and bring love and peace. I'm a messenger bringing the harmony of three lights together for everybody's knowledge and wisdom and viewing. So please dance with me in the three lights. Come south of the border. Thanks, Jimmy, for the sharing of the live. Appreciate that. Thanks for the follows, guys. Appreciate it. I wish this platform showed me how many likes I get. I have to actually, because I'm on a computer, I have to dig into TikTok to try to figure out how many likes I got. It's just real weird. Like, my moderator can't pin comments that I see. She can pin them, but I can't see them. Everybody else can. It's just kind of a weird platform. So, how's everybody doing? Come on, it's Friday. I don't want this to be a 10-minute live. I know y'all got questions. I know the IRS has got issues y'all want to talk about, or baby mama drama, or Bill King. Thank you for the heart. Much appreciated. Look, see, I couldn't even see the heart. Like, normally it'll dance around or something. Like, I didn't even see that. But I appreciate the gifts. Your gifts will be used to help others by promoting my content, because TikTok ain't promoting it. Semi-shadow banned and blatantly banned. They straight up told me. They're like, we ain't pushing your stuff out. It's kind of wild. That's why I thought my viral video was kind of funny. It's like, what's a brother got to do to get some views around this piece? I guess it's dance and holla. Hey guys, thank y'all for joining. Please feel free to ask any questions that you want. I'm here to try to give some guidance on stuff. I've had the blessed curse of is it a curse blessing of being able to study outside of mainstream public indoctrination for many years, and I've done a lot of research. I've done research on stuff that would blow y'all's minds. Stuff on fossils and the flood and the earth and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of crazy. Jimmy, love the content of your page. Where can I find more information on UCC and contract law? It kind of depends on what you want to know about the UCC. So I actually bought a Uniform Commercial Code book, and the truth is you could study that stuff for the rest of your life, all the codes, policies, and statutes, but those are just codes that bind corporations, and you can invoke them if you want, but it is copywritten. contract law. I have books on my website. I have all kinds of stuff. I have like Cracking the Code. I've got Sovereign to Surf. I have a good list of books that you can read on my Telegram group. It's pinned at the top of my Telegram group. All my social media is linked on my website of my profile, or that's linked on my profile page of TikTok. So, all right, Angelina, Christine, sovereign citizen and beating court. So, and this is one of the unfortunate side effects about the dual energy of masculine and feminine. So for a female to walk into a court case and take control over it, it takes a little bit of practice, a little more practice than a man, because a man's like more able to like throw down a flag and just come in there with his chest out and kind of like look, and don't get me wrong, like I kind of get a little butterfly when I'm talking to a police officer or a judge, even though I know what I know, so it's like I can just imagine like a very unlearned female trying to come there and embody sovereignty inside of a court. But it's the game's pretty similar all around the world. You just have to fun side fact, when I dropped my first sovereign in court video, TikTok removed my ability to see who views my profile. So all of y'all typically should 101 standard have the ability to see who views your profile. I cannot. Anybody and everybody and their mama can go on my profile, and I have no clue, because TikTok removed my ability to see who goes on my profile because of being the Sovereign in Court videos. That's what I'm assuming, because it happened right after I dropped Sovereign in Court #1. So it's typical, depending on what the opposing party is trying to claim or say, the reason for a court case is because there's an unbalance in harmony on an accounting system that's been ledgered, right? So it's just an account that needs to be set into harmony. And it depends on if the opposing party has a bona fide claim, or is actually damaged, or there's an injured party. So if there's no injured party, there's all kinds of things. It's a lot easier when there's not somebody on the other side of the table that's whining. Except for like an attorney for the state, it's like whine all you want. You're just a freaking public policy enforcer that's duty is to uphold the public who's bankrupt and uneducated. So. You just got to reserve your rights. You got to either, at the end of the day, it's just an account that has to be settled. Their books need to be balanced, okay? And there's 78 million ways to balance the books out, and it's kind of up to you, but I'm all for giving lawful guidance on different ways. It just depends. It's kind of a case by case, and that's what I'm here for, to help out. Nick with like 10 eyes. Nick, 28. Aren't all giant bones confiscated? Yes, the ones that go outside of the public mainstream media's narrative for evolution are confiscated typically by the Smithsonian. And what I have seen and think is that the giants, what they show us are, they claim are dinosaur bones, are actually bones from giants, and they quickly hide them, put them up, and then make replicas of them for the public. Like, there's no actual true bones in any of the museums. They're all replicas. The good stuff is hidden in archives, and any of the huge skulls or huge fingers. There's this guy. I'm telling you, if y'all watch some of his stuff, it's about, I think it's mud fossils. If you research mud fossils on YouTube, there's this guy that let me see if I can go to my videos, because I just liked some of his stuff recently. Mud Fossil University. Mud Fossil University is a master of anatomy for human physiology and able to compare it with petrified rocks. And if you start looking into that stuff, oh my gosh. The more I dig into anything, you will find out our complete history has been altered. The facts have been blurred. Timelines, a lot of the wars were dedicated to destroying a lot of the Tartarian technology, so that we don't know about free energy and how people used to live, and that they were more advanced. Because, to be honest with you, I think a more harmonious system is having free energy and electricity for everybody. But they want to hide all that because everything's about for profit at the end of the day. When you look at wars, when you look at companies, when you look at corporations, it's all set up as a pyramid Ponzi scheme for profit. And that's why it's just hard to escape that reality, because almost everything is money. It costs money, and that's why the federal corporation called the United States is a corporation for all things that deal in money and banking and transactions, which is like everything. Like everything, is federal. All right, so let me answer some more questions. Hey, ask why. Have you crossed the border before with a non-citizen passport? I have a national I have a very unique passport in what I have done, and I actually want to talk to one of my mentors because I don't know if a national passport is any different in the public than a normal passport. I don't know if the stars mean anything other than security risk, and in their system it might say private or it might say something in on their system on the computer, but in the public I think it looks just like a regular passport. But on mine particularly, I have a special notation to designate that I'm not a U.S. citizen, I'm a national, and I've had no problems with it. All right, so but yeah, so I've crossed a lot of borders like that. I just went to Turkey. I went to Turkey recently, a couple months ago, and came back. All right, so Kafili, what is the best book to learn? Honestly, my favorite book is the Bible because it's been unlocked to me, and I have esoteric knowledge on its meaning on different levels, from commercial, natural, and spiritual. It's my favorite law book. It really is. And I read it once, just like a book, and I did skip over some of the numbers or the names because it was like John begot this, begot that, begot that, begot that. And it started start drooling because it's just a lot of people be begotten, be getting it on, and begotten people. So, but it's my favorite law book because it speaks on so many different levels, and that's actually what you're supposed to do once you reach a point in your life when you've secured your own and you're able to help other people, is you have to talk to them on their level. And that's what's cool about the Bible. It is not just a book. It's not just a law book. It is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and so many people eat it without having any clue. They just read it like a book, and when you read it like a book, you'll get a book out of it. But when you start understanding the deeper levels to it and how it speaks on different harmonies and frequencies, it's amazing. And you pick up a normal law dictionary, and it ain't talking like that. But what's cool at the end of the day is this triangle, everything's intertwined and connected. So no matter what it is you're involved in or doing or seeing, eventually it kind of all leads to the same matrix with us in the middle, with love and fire and stuff like that. I'm probably going to drop a foundation video next week. All right, so jurisdiction, a book on jurisdiction, jurisprudence. If you're talking about subject matter jurisdiction, that's so typically what you'd want to do with the law dictionary is look up annotated statutes. Okay, if you're starting to go into law dictionaries or law books, that is basically, and that's what's funny about a book. A book is dead. We give it life. Only we're the flowing source of energy as fractals of the Creator, and we basically give stuff life. Because my favorite law book, the Bible, if I don't pick it up, it's just sitting there. It's just dead. It's just dead text that's written that binds and blinds everybody. But if I pick it up and give it life, then I can speak about it and stuff. And that's the same thing that happens to annotated statutes. The annotated statutes is something that a Supreme Court or court system has decreed and given a verbal, basically, meaning to a ruling or a judgment. And that's what all the lawyers use and everything. It's the annotated statutes. All right, Kafeli, what is the best? I already did that one. Thanks for the follow, Karen. Nick, thanks for answering. No problem. That's what I'm here for. I'm here. Kafeli, thanks for the sharing. Awareness, what's up? Peace. Thanks for hopping on. Guys, this live will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. All my social media is linked on my website. My website's linked on my profile page. I have playlists that I've created to help re-educate everybody if you want to watch them. It takes about 2 hours. Foundation, Nature, Spirit, and Commerce. I usually suggest that to everybody to start on that before they dive into anything like buying secured party creditor or taking somebody else's word to just buy a course, because all my stuff's free and it's there for y'all, including my website. It's unlimited access for free. All right, so trees. Nut. Oh yeah, trees. Are you talking about the giant petrified trees, Nut? Because I have so much cool stuff on my website. I'm telling you, if anybody goes into nature and looks at Earth, you will see some stuff that'll blow your mind. You go into conspiracies, you look at giants, it'll blow your mind. You go in there and look at free electricity or energy or atmospheric stuff or like frequencies. I have a lot of stuff. Like I've started building a little library, and I love this guy. I think his name is Embodiment Celestial. Like I'm in tune with his teaching. Like I really love what he's got going on. And what sucks is TikTok. Like if it's truthful and right and it's in the light and it's like amazing, it just doesn't go out to a whole lot of people. And he'll break down this amazing video with hand drawn stuff with all this talking about, you know, your body and salts and energy and frequencies and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, wow, it went out to 700 people, and it's just like, why? I don't know. All right, Sean Handler. I know where a giant serpent is in Alabama. That's cool, man. I'd love to see a picture of it. I actually have a lot of the fossilized giant stuff on my website. Like I said, I collect knowledge and information and post it on my website. I'm building like a Alexandria type of thing, you know, trying to get the truth. Because, you know, stuff like this is in the Vatican. I think the Vatican has the largest library in the world and stuff, but it's hidden from the public. And nobody can go in there except for like certain monks and stuff like that. Awareness Daily. Who or what are the shareholders on the United States Corporation? So I would say that the Crown is one of the biggest ones. So is China, because they're the creditors. And the U.S. citizen is an underwriter because it's sanctioned by a corporate state, which is sanctioned by the United States, which is sanctioned by D.C., which is one of the three sovereign superpowers that kind of dictate between judicial, legislative, and executive branches for the elites. And I don't know who the elites are. You know, I don't know if they're spirits that are moving people behind the scenes up on top of the pyramid, or if there's certain families or what. But it's just easiest to call them elites. But there's families that are outside of all those three sovereign superpowers. But I think if I had to guess, that the three sovereign superpowers are kind of working for the people that kind of run the big show, the Earth. You know, it's kind of like their board game. It's just a board game. And when you get on a certain level, and like for instance, let's say money doesn't matter anymore. Let's say that labor doesn't matter anymore. You can do anything you want on your board game when you've got it set up on a corporate level, and that's how the whole game works on this matrix. Is that everybody's locked into these gears because of the money and commerce and being blinded by being citizens and all this stuff, where they think that they're stuck in this grid pattern that they have to do what all the puppet masters at the top that are pulling the strings have to, but you don't. You're outside of that system, and that's part of why I've started creating my playlist to try to help re-educate everybody, is because you're not part of the matrix. I thought I was for a long time, but you're not. Angelina, how do you claim national status? It's so simple, and every once in a while TikTok will ban me for talking about that and then say oops, you know, but you just claim allegiance to a sovereign republic state. In the background, there's still a republic sovereign state working, and they put a federal jurisdiction on top of it through the Buck Act. That's kind of like a false federal laminate jurisdiction on top of everything. And so, according to the state Secretary of State Department, a national is someone that owes allegiance to a state, and it's a lowercase sovereign republic state. But that's all you have to do. You can do it in your heart, you can do it in your mind, or you can put it on paper. You know, it's up to you. Kafeli, I hope I'm saying that right. Hasn't the Bible been altered? Yes. And I actually mentioned that on my Foundation 6 video, I think. When you start translating something, like I've dated girls from all different kind of cultures, okay? And what happens when you start translating something from one culture to another is there's a tremendous loss in substance. Because, for instance, idioms do not translate. And my last girlfriend, who was from Turkey, there was a lot of things. They have words for stuff that you just don't translate. And they have translations for stuff that, or they can't translate, like certain words. It just doesn't work out. So they try to come up with the best meaning. But the purest form from the Bible is the Hebrew, and I've learned very little of it, but it is that's the purest. And then the Greek, you know, it starts getting a little more diluted, and then English, and then what is there, like 300, 600 different versions of it now, and that's why in my Foundation 6 video I specified how important it is that every word, like every noun, has like 3 different definitions, and if you start altering that, it starts taking away from the substance tremendously. All right, anyway, let's get on some more. Kafeli, I already answered that. Bill King, best way to negate a warrant obtained by fraud by a lying magistrate. All right, so a warrant is typically a warranty, which is guaranteed payment for a charge. So typically magistrate would not issue a warrant unless there was a charge that underlined the beginning of it. So I don't know if there was a failure to appear, or if there was so how everything starts is there's a ledgering of account, and when you get booked is the ledgering of an account when you get booked. And so when that ledgering of that account opens up and gets settled or started, look, this is how it works, guys. It doesn't matter what the truth is. I could have some random cop just go to the police station and say that I just killed a bus full of puppies and make a report on it. And once that account is ledgered, even though it didn't happen, it doesn't matter. It's now in writing, and it's ledgered, and it's time stamped, and the process has started. So now on my side, I have to balance the account in harmony, because right now it's saying, hey, we've got a freaking, a 6'3" puppy murderer running around. It's like, all right, now I've got to freaking try to figure out how to satisfy and settle that account. First of all, I gotta either prove that didn't happen, or I could go in there and say, yep, sorry about it, book me, or whatever. At the end of the day, it's just an account that has to be settled one way or another. It doesn't matter what the truth is, and that's why in the Bible, that's why I love the Bible, because like for instance, when they're speaking to Jesus, he says, "Are you King of the Jews?" And a sovereign doesn't answer; they ask the questions. And Jesus says, "Say this of thyself, or did others tell this of you?" So he flipped and said, he asked a question. And he answered the question by asking a question. And that's the same thing you do in the court, is he's your servant. You're the sovereign. You go in there and you ask the questions. Until, if you take over the court, then you can make statements. But a sovereign, a master, asks questions, and his servants have to answer them. So in the Bible, over and over again, of course, there was times when he made statements, but a lot of time when he was confronted, Jesus would, or Jesus, Yahshua, he would ask the questions. And the same thing about us, why I love the law book, because almost all the rules are kind of based off of the written law, because this stuff's been going on since ancient times. People have been wanting to be bound and are bound by the written law from many, many, many times ago. So, kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, basically when there's an account, it's why it says 2 or more witnesses establish things, and that's in the Bible. It's a great law book, because people lie, and it doesn't matter what the truth is. And of course, you can get your buddy to convolute with you or come up with something, but so the warrant is a guarantee to pay at the end of the day, and that's what it is. And you need to satisfy the account one way or another with a warrant. Typically, show up. And for dealing with a warrant, I honestly suggest going on my website under Commerce, Court Ops, and listening to Being Sovereign in Booking, because that is like my favorite audio out of all of my years and years of study. It's one of the most heartfelt, amazing things that a guy went through. He basically, he was in the woods trying to meditate, and he was with some people that had some weed or mushrooms or something, and he was a master in contract law, and he was one of my mentors. He knows how the whole system works, the game works. And what happened was the National Park Service came up, who is controlled by UN, I think. I think all the national parks are UN controlled. And one of the park patrols come up, and the guy says, you know what? If I know what I know, I am going to take this charge on. He's like, I'm going to put on my debtor hat. I'm going to pretend like I'm a sheep, and I'll pretend, I'll say the mushrooms are mine or whatever, because he didn't want these innocent people to go to jail or whatever. So he takes, he's like, yeah, it's my stuff. They arrest him. And then when they transfer from county sheriff from the park to the state police, he switches hats and becomes the sovereign. And that audio, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I love it. You should listen to it. All right, B. Cole, bro, what you know about the arbitration process? So arbitration is, simply trying to get handled outside of court typically, or in contracts, it says that any arbitration will be handled by X. So when you're doing contract law, and this is one of the things that blew my mind when I first started learning about contract law. I was getting a loan for a car. I didn't know how. Oh, it says it says live age restricted. Your live may contain themes not suitable for younger audiences and has been age restricted. Oh, I just got age restricted, y'all. I guess because I'm talking about court. Um, so when I went to get a loan for a car, like I said, I didn't know how the banking system worked, but when I was reading the contract of the loan agreement, it said I'm in Virginia, and it was like this contract will be bound by the governing laws of California or something. And I'm like, what? How are they doing that? We're in Virginia. And then it said any arbitration will be handled in Texas. And I'm like, what? What kind of? I was like, this is weird. How are they switching jurisdictions like this? But it's contract law and it's enforceable. So if I sign and agree to it and set it all up, then that's what's going to happen. And any arbitration will be handled in Texas, or courts in Texas. Like, okay, interesting. But arbitration is just basically trying to handle a situation in a specified, sometimes predetermined type of venue that is laid out on a contract, or via indelible in writing or verbal, viva voce. Nut. Yep. Oh yeah, I've got Nut. So if you go on my website under Earth, I think it's trees. I think it's under Earth trees. Wow, you will see some stuff. Let me check it out. Let's see. Let's go to my Dropbox and we go to nature, Earth. Is it not under? Is it not under rocks, plants, trees? Okay, it's under plants, trees. There we go. Wow. Yep. You'll see some stuff. All right, where are we at? The Bilderberg Group. All right, cell salts. Yeah, there's like 12 salts that our bodies needs. And guys, we don't need vitamins. We need minerals. Our bodies need minerals. We've all been taught about taking vitamins. And if you look on the vitamins, whenever I'm buying vitamins, I make sure that the B12 is not cyanide, because it is made from like a mold and it's cyanide. It's a synthetic. It's cyanide. And who in the heck wants to take cyanide? That's what the spies used to do to kill themselves when they got caught. Stuff like that. Like, why in the world would you want to take that? So, but anyway, our body needs minerals. And how it used to be back in the day is, and I'm vegan, but what they used to do is they would rub salts on all the meats to preserve them. So everybody used to get all kinds of good minerals from the salts. But some idiot scientist decided to refine the salt, and it ended up removing all of the minerals, and now it's like mineral deficient, and so everybody's walking around with mineral deficiencies and stuff like this. Nick, I do have his notebook. It's on my website, believe it or not. Solo, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for coming on. Nut, the Bilderberg Group. Yeah, that's one of the elites, the Trilateral Commission, and other stuff like that. Nut, absolutely. User 36619552448. What is your website again? My website is located on the profile page of my TikTok. There's a little tiny link button. You can click on it. So, guys, this live will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. I have a website with auxiliary information to help educate you. If you go through my playlist, like I said, I do suggest everybody watch my playlist, because I've laid them out to try to help understand what sovereignty is and how to embody it. It took me a while to understand it, but that's why nature, spirit, and commerce all together. If you can embody and embrace what it is, like you're unstoppable, you're untouchable, and that's what it takes to basically stand in front of a cop and know that he's your servant or a judge. It takes some huevos, it takes some balls. It's not very easy. You can't be what's so timid when you're trying to do that kind of stuff. It takes a little bit of knowledge to be the king. Coach Ice, is there books about black people missing? Probably, absolutely. I mean, a lot of them. And growing up. My best friends were black growing up, and I started learning some about this Moorish laws and stuff like that. And one of the things that blew my mind is like a black king is who sold a lot of the people to come over here to America. It sold the slaves. It's like that's kind of they didn't teach that to me in history. That it was the own tribe's king is the one who made the deal with the Europeans. And he took money. It's kind of sucks, but that's just kind of how it started. But one of my first wives, she was from Russia, and she had like an Asian quality to her, and I kind of thought that was kind of hot, but I wasn't sure, and I talked to her about it, and she said the Mongolians actually used to plummet, pillage, and rape and destroyed and enslave a lot of the Russians back in the day, and that's why you can see some of the Asiatic traits in their face and stuff like that. The Geneva Bible, 1500s maybe. Honestly, the purest is probably from the Dead Sea Scrolls. When you start and reading in Hebrew. If you want to get your best, and by the way, the Bible is just the written law, okay? And it can bind you, but it can also set you free depending on the amount and experience and the knowledge you have and how you view and read it. If you just read it like a book or a commercial book, that's what you can use it. You can read it as a natural book, or you can read it as a spiritual thing. It depends on what you're trying to get out of it, and that's why it's an amazing book. But yeah, I've seen the Geneva Bible, and they say King James was a pretty twisted guy, but he subbed out all of the translating. Like he wasn't. I think there were a couple words that he kind of did some shenanigans on, some flim flam, but he subbed out everything. He didn't do it himself. All right, bid bond, performance bond, and payment bond. Yep, absolutely. That's the underwriting securities that happen on a court case. And that's why, and I tell people this all the time, and I hate to say it, but I have never seen somebody get somebody else out of jail early by trying to come in and satisfy those bonds. Because once they get sold or get, starting to get executed and maturing, it's like, I have people coming at me wanting to help them get off of probation or something like that. I'm like, you're at the end. You're at the very end. The bonds are almost completely matured. Like, just try to get off of probation earlier. When I first got out of jail, or when I first got in, I talked to some people, and they said that they're going to take probation higher than anything on this earth. And I even laid it out in a different video, and I'm like, you're crazy. Well, he's like, yeah, I'm going to take probation higher than my parents, my family, my loved one, my job, all that. And I'm like, why would you ever want to take probation that high? And he's like, because if I violate probation, I'm going to lose my family, my job, my health, all that stuff. So I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, take probation high. So I tell him, the best thing you could probably do is try to get off probation early, because I have never seen, other than a mayor or president or some executive order, in order to satisfy the equities on the bonds that are maturing, to be able to balance it all. Like, you have to go in front of the judge and get the administrator who you've already appointed. Once that trust has been expressed and the parties have been identified as who the trustee is, the beneficiary or the surety or all that stuff, like, it's hard. It's hard to come back and say, oh, no, I don't want to be the trustee anymore. Or, no, I don't want to be, it's like, it's a tough game. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I've never seen it, and I don't know everything. All right. So, B. Cole Lazarus. Yep. Nick 28. Does that correlate to bad credit and finding ways to balance it out? Yes. So if you have bad credit, depending on what the credit is, you go after the creditor, and you can get them in a private administrative procedure that satisfies the original debt obligation, and then you can go back to the credit reporting agency that they reported to and try to tell them to correct the records. It's like a process. You got to start in reverse. I have heard people try to say no, they're starting straight at the reporting agency, but that's not how it works. The reporting agency is just, they received the report. They're just doing their job. They're reporting on what was reporting. They're showing what was reported to them. You need to go after the person that reported, get that corrected first, and then go after the credit reporting system and say, hey, the debt obligation has been satisfied. Please correct your records to reflect such, or I'm coming after you, and and then they'll start jumping. Little Blue Birdie, the M word with the puppies, probably they tag certain words. Oh, maybe. I don't know. It was a long time from me saying that, hurting puppies, between they said it is age restricted. And I'm wondering what age they restricted my TikTok live to. They probably throttled it up to 75. You cannot come on my live unless you're 75 or older. That is the age group. And what's funny, I made a video about why are they sending my stuff out to 13 and 12-year-olds? It's like, that was my audience. So now my lives are throttled probably to 70, 80-year-olds. Vimergini B12, clean and pure. Awesome. Heck yeah. I do my best to try to moringa. It's moringa, Irish sea moss, that has like almost all of the minerals that our body needs, and Celtic sea salt. If you use Celtic sea salt, do not use table salt. Table salt's some garbage, and I've heard Himalayan salt is also bad. It's been misconstrued to have a lot more beneficial. It's been propaganda pushed out to say it's really, really healthy, but it's not. I think it's got like harmful stuff in it. So, B. Cole Lazarus, aren't most of these loans security frauds if the interest payments aren't received from a security? I don't know about the interest. The interest is a side contract that the bank puts on the debtor. They create the asset, and then they turn around and call you a debtor or a borrower, and then we agree to it, and then you start performing on that contract, and then they can enforce it. They basically, it's all a mirror system. Everything's a mirror system. Just like my flesh is in the public, in the false light, but my spirit is in the private, in the true light. And then the commercial light kind of goes between it all. So, but the same thing happens in the public. The public is bankrupt, uneducated, and it can't hold assets. But in the private, that's where the real stuff is, and that's where they deal with the assets and the securities and all that stuff in the background. And they're just raking in the cash, fractionalized and stuff like that. And then in the public, where people can't hold assets, they call us debtor, creditors, and borrowers and stuff like that. B. Cole, I appreciate you. You're welcome. Thanks. I'm glad that you appreciate me. Little Blue Birdie, spraying metal zinc neutralizes zinc. Get used up doing this. No zinc in soil. Zinc huge. Oh yeah, zinc's definitely needed for sure. It's there's a lot of minerals that our body needs, and like I said, that's why I love Embodiment Celestial, because he breaks them all down. And from what I've seen, I take Irish sea moss and I take moringa, and those cover almost all the minerals we need. I'm taking little tiny bits, but it's definitely not in the fruits and produce and stuff that you buy on the shelf. It's all been synthesized, and whenever you start altering nature, it's not good, okay? And that's the basic fundamental of one of my favorite teachers that teaches is Dr. Sebi, and he's slightly racist, okay? I give him that, but the foundations of his teachings I take with me, because it just hits on core on so many levels. Because when you break stuff down to its simple fundamentals, you can build off of that. And he basically proves it's like our bodies are a pH balanced system that is enclosed, and when you start eating fruits and vegetables, if they're acidic, you're tipping the scale to be acid, like the coffee that I'm drinking. It's acidic. And when you start eating whole, alkaline fruits and vegetables that are non-GMO and are organic and natural, it's really good for our body. It's able to be used a lot better. It's more natural. But when you start breaking stuff down and cooking it and chopping it up and altering it, the more you mess with nature, the more like impure. It's not built for our bodies. It's the way things were designed. You gotta go with the flow. Our Lady Liberty lifts. What do you know about Rh negative people? Yeah, so that's a specific type of blood. I've seen different. I almost called them conspiracy theorists, but you might as well call them conspiracy facts. I don't 100% know if I've heard people say, "Oh, it's from a race of aliens" or something like that. I don't know what percentage of people are Rh negative of blood, but I do know that there are different types of blood systems. But I'll be honest, I don't know how true that is, because when you start breaking down everything to its basics, for instance, like. The water out by my house is supposedly hypoxic, which means that it's lacking in oxygen. And how can you have water that is hypoxic if its simple building blocks is H2O? I mean, if it's missing oxygen, then it wouldn't be H2O anymore. So it would just be H, right? How in the world is the water hypoxic for fish if it's missing oxygen? And, it just doesn't make sense. So that makes me think that if that's what the scientists are claiming, then the basic fundamental principle of H2O in itself doesn't even make sense anymore. But there's actually a fourth phase of water, and it's actually found in fruits, which has memory, and it's pretty cool. Dr. Emoto did some amazing works with water and being able to see its ability to absorb energy and reflect it. It's pretty cool. Living water. That's one of the things how I think that fruits and plants communicate is through the living water. The water is actually living. It's more than 4 phases of water, and that's what I think when you send negative energy to a plant and it makes needles move when you hook it up to those little radiographic things. I think it's all about the living water. Oh, what is this? This is where I'm supposed to look for the gifts. Is over here on the side. Thank you for the party hat, Red Pill Slave. Much appreciated. Happy Friday to you. Your gifts will be used to help others. Much appreciated. Thanks for the peace sign, Red Pill. Little Blue Lady. Gene Keating mentioned methods with bonds. Possibly. I've learned some of Gene Keating's works, but I'm not super proficient or familiar. If he's talking about using the standard forms, there's certain... how do I say this? There's certain banking things that the U.S. citizen is allowed to be involved in, and there's certain banking things that you have to use others that are authorized to do such transactions in order to try to engage in all that stuff. So, if you're trying to use standard forms, I don't know if you can do the standard forms and go into a court case and try to settle it. I think if you come in there before the bonds are made, possibly, but I don't know about after, because the bonds are already made. So it's like you're just putting more bonds on the court case. But I think if you come in there with your own, it might be possible to, that's one of the 78 billion ways that you can handle a court case in order to balance the books. You can tell the judge to fill in the blanks, like here's the bonds, man, where do you want me to sign? Like boom, 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 boom. All right, so retarded genius, that's a cool handle. I need help suing my local and county police department. I will take care of you for your time. I don't request or require any donations, but I do accept and receive them as you feel led. I would suggest maybe looking at www.bondsforthewin.com, and if you can't remember that, or if you don't want to watch the live, I can send you a link, because if you've been harmed, the human, typically we end up saying that we're U.S. citizens, which they can get jurisdiction over real quick, and then it starts getting tricky. But we're the authorized representative of the U.S. citizen. If a police department or somebody has acted outside of their authorized capacity, acting colorably, you can come after them and you can bind them in all kinds of codes, policies, and statutes that they actually try to bind us in. And there's set gateways in place for agencies and people that act outside of their capacity that you can put them in a headlock. But if feel free to DM me. I answer everybody. Eventually, I get to everybody. B. Coles, Lazarus. How would you get the interest from those court bonds after they're matured? One of my favorite court guys. His name is Derek Gonzalez. He's a belligerent, but he's very, very knowledgeable. He's more knowledgeable on codes and policies than I am. I always come from love and equity, and that's my teaching and my walk in the most harmonious way that I have ever learned to engage in this system, because whenever you're an enemy or a belligerent, you're considered, you don't have any rights or remedies. But he's so knowledgeable that he just bypasses the truth on that. It's like it doesn't matter if you come from love or peace. Like he'll get locked up and he'll spend time in jail, but he'll still end up getting a remedy because he just knows so much. And he's the only person I know of that I've ever seen get, I think, one of the bonds, because he took control of a court case and he went to the clerk's office and he basically said, "You're giving me the bonds." Like I don't know if he ever liquidated it. I don't know if he was able to get money off of it, but I know he at least got one of them. And I don't know if he got all three of them, but I know he at least got one. But once they matured, I'm assuming you'd have to figure out, most of the stuff is funneled to the crown. And what blew my mind is when I found out that all of the departments of the U.S. are not for profit, so they don't have to pay taxes on stuff. So they're operating not for profit. But you'd have to find out who issued it, who's receiving it, and talk to a broker, because like I said, there's certain things that we're not allowed to be involved in. But if the trust was expressed that you're the debtor or you are the trustee that is liable to pay, you're not getting that interest. The authorized representative for the U.S. citizen isn't getting it. You have to express the trust or negate the trust from being expressed in a certain way that's more favorable towards you. Angelina, you're 49. Do I look 78? You look like a tiny little circle on my screen, and I am nearsighted, which means like I can see like veins and flies' wings up close, but when you start getting farther and farther away, it's a little harder for me to see. But your little picture, I don't know. You could be 15. Well, no, because TikTok just restricted ages, so I don't think you're being 15. But honestly, what ages us a lot is the stuff that we eat and stress. If you can alleviate little micro stresses, we get micro stressed all the time from little things. If you start eating vegan, alkaline, whole, holistic, and you start removing all the sugars from your diet, and you start to do a little exercise and stress, you start doing all that stuff, and then guess what? Mental. You can actually change your reality through the contracts and stuff that you keep through the energy that you push out through your thoughts. So if you start to project, being younger, feeling younger, being healthy, getting on that mode and that mentality, you're good. Like it'll start actually vibrating and changing your whole frequency and stuff like that. Celery juice is amazing. I've heard white pine needles is good, little blue birdie. I have not ever tried white pine needle, but I'd like to. Red pill slave. Got trial on Monday. Botched it. Taking my licking. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's not easy to embody the sovereignty in court. And that's why I tell everybody, if you're not fully prepared or ready to try to go in there and take control, and the courtroom mechanics, you understand the proceedings, you've read some of the protocols on what's admissible and how the mechanics work of court, don't go in there and try to take control. You'll get hurt. You'll get hemmed up. Judge will speak right over you, throw you in your citizen in jail, and guess who? The authorized representative going right behind it. You're going to be right in there as the surety for the U.S. citizen. Angelina, is it true you don't really have to pay down payment on an auto loan? Yeah, that's true, but here's what happens is in the public, because the public is uneducated, bankrupt, and crazy, is they do background checks and credit checks because the people that do those things don't feel like using their resources in order to repossess things, so they do this whole charades, shenanigan show to do the credit check on the U.S. citizen. The U.S. citizen, I had somebody file bankruptcy, one of my tenants. The U.S. citizen is not bankrupt. And on the private side, it has all these assets, all these securities, all these things that are there. It's actually fraud to file bankruptcy because the U.S. citizen Social Security on the credit security side is got who knows how much. That's another question I've never answered or know. I don't know what 1/10 of the estate is worth on the private side. But it's definitely there. But yeah, so in the public debtor creditor arena game, that's kind of how that works. Is you can find places that want 10 cent down or no credit check, or they do background checks. It depends on what the dealer is. Back when I first started getting cars and getting car loans, the auto dealers used to finance and be their own bank. Now what they do is they make you sign a power of attorney. And they shop around. They're like, yeah, I got these 10 bank buddies. Let's see who gets you the best deal. And they'll just make some calls and see who gets you the best interest rate on a loan. And then, they'll securitize the promissory note and get you the car. All right, so Khalifi, Himalayan is mined and is trace metals. It still has minerals. It's just not as good for you. Okay, yeah, I've heard, but also heard there's radioactive stuff in the Himalayan stuff, good old TikTok, sometimes they let truth come out, and I've seen some videos that say stuff like that. Little Blue Birdie, medical medium is fire with his books. His books will blow you away. I'm going to have to check him out. I'm wondering if that's the guy who reached out to me a long time ago and said he's similar to what I'm trying to do. A lot of people want to sell stuff. He says medical medium. Medical medium. Hey, I'll try to look him up. Oh, you're teasing me? Okay, Angelina, well, you got me. You were talking about 78-year-olds having access. Oh, I gotcha. Well, I'm 41, and a lot of people do not believe me when I tell them that. And if I shave, I get carded. I actually do get carded, and I get good sleep, which is kind of hard to do with my son because he loves kicking my balls in the middle of the night because we've done co-parenting. And baby mama, I love her to death. She wanted to co-sleep with both our kids, and originally it was 4 of us in one bed. And nobody was getting any sleep. And I was up in meetings and stuff looking bloodshot-eyed, I was drinking a lot. It was just it was rough. But typically in certain lights, I typically look like I'm 28, 30, something like that. Not so much 41. So, well, guys, I reached the bottom, and it's almost been an hour. So if there's any more questions that I can help give lawful guidance on, I will do my best to help you. If not, I'm going to wrap up soon. This live will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. I have playlists to help re-educate everybody on a case-by-case basis. If you watch them all, it is Foundation, Nature, Spirit, and Commerce. If you want more auxiliary information, it's found on my website, which is also linked on my profile page of TikTok. And you can also reach out to me through DMs, email, phone calls, and instant messages and stuff like that. I'm always open to give further helping hand as needed. So appreciate you guys. Like I said, if there's no further questions, we're going to enjoy this Friday and we're going to have fun. And I'm going to start working on posting all this stuff onto the social media. Billy Banano, do you know if the DTC questionnaire form? Yeah, I think so. I think you can download it. Last time I checked, yeah, you can just download it and fill it out. But there's questions on there that like I don't know, and I have some great mentors. Some of them had to sign non-disclosures. They couldn't say but certain things, but yeah, there's it's still pretty valid. You can always go on the DTCC's website and also download it directly from there, I believe, or verify by calling them and stuff like that. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy your Friday. I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate all the gifts. I appreciate all of the help. And from there, we will, enjoy life and see you next time. All right, guys.